Hey guys, it's Julie from PaleOMG, and today I am making a chili cornbread casserole. But I promise you, there is no corn in this recipe. It is totally paleo. I use this amazing nuts.com paleo baking mix, and I've used it in pound cake, I've used it in cornbread muffins, turkey pot pies. It's so incredibly versatile. And I promise you, even though there's no corn in this recipe, you will fool any of your friends that come over. It's so hearty and so filling. So what we're gonna start with is getting an onion, a red bell pepper, and a green bell pepper all chopped up. I'm just finishing chopping up my red bell peppers. And I also want to chop up 2 garlic cloves. I'm gonna use these just a little bit later, but get these prepped and ready to go. Perfect. So I'm gonna take these onion and peppers over to a large saute pan. I've heated that up over medium heat, adding a little bit of ghee, and I'm gonna saute these vegetables until the onions are translucent and a little fragrant. Whenever you're making a dish that has a lot of layers, you wanna make sure you flavor every layer, which means adding salt. So while these peppers and onions are cooking down, I just add a little bit of salt, and I can add salt throughout the dish and really bring all those flavors out. After about 5 minutes, once the onions become translucent and the peppers start to brown a little bit, we're gonna add a pound of ground beef and those garlic cloves that you chopped earlier. I'm using ButcherBox ground beef, and this is my absolute favorite ground beef and meat company. They deliver right to your doorstep. So I get my meat delivered right to my door and I can put it in the freezer. It's so easy. So I'm gonna add this pound of ground beef to my peppers and then my 2 garlic cloves. And I'll just break up this ground beef. And I'm gonna cook this until it's nice and brown and broken up into little pieces. And remember, you wanna flavor each layer, so I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to this ground beef. Keep layering on those flavors as we go. Now, this ground beef, it's almost cooked through, so it's the perfect time to add all my spices. So I have chili powder to start off. We're gonna do a tablespoon and 2 teaspoons. I know that's a weird number, but I promise you it's worth it. And then same thing with the smoked paprika. Tablespoon and 2 teaspoons. Now a tablespoon of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of cumin, and then 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. If you don't like it very spicy, just remove the cayenne pepper or use a little bit less, but I want a little bit of kick in mine. Dunzo. And last but not least, we have 14 ounces of fire roasted diced tomatoes, and then 8 ounces of tomato sauce. Mix that in. Now I just need to add a little bit of salt and black pepper. That is it. While that reduces down, I'm gonna make my cornbread topping that's gonna go on top of this casserole. So just leave this to bubble away, it will thicken up, and it'll be ready to go in your casserole pan. Now that our chili is reducing down and thickening up, we're gonna make our cornbread topping. I'm gonna start with 2 cups of this nuts.com paleo baking mix. And this is totally rough measurement. I'm not very accurate with my measuring. There we go. Then I have 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/3 cup of melted ghee, and I have a 1/4 cup of honey. And this is just gonna sweeten it up a little bit. It goes really well with the chili. Then I have 2 eggs. Crack those right into the bowl. And then I'm gonna do 3/4 cup of almond milk. So this is unsweetened vanilla almond milk. Whatever you have on hand, you just don't want it too sweet. Again, rough measuring. And just a pinch of salt. And now all I have to do is mix this together, break up those eggs until I have a nice thick batter. And make sure you have all the clumps out of that batter. You want it to be nice and smooth so you don't have any coconut flour or tapioca flour left behind. Okay, so set this aside. Time to grease a baking dish. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees. I'm gonna grease this and pour my chili right inside. This chili is so thick and heavy. pour it all into your baking dish. Get every last bit and smooth that out. And then I'm gonna pour that batter right on top of the chili. It's thickened up a little bit. It kind of thickens up as it sits. And make sure it's even throughout. We want it to really cook evenly when it's in the oven. There we go. And before I put this in the oven, I just like to crack a little black pepper on top. And this will go in my oven for 35 to 40 minutes until the whole top of the casserole is golden brown and bubbly. There we go. Hot out of the oven, bubbling, so delicious. Now this is gonna rest a little bit, and we're gonna make a little topping, some freshness to go on top since this has been cooking for so long. I have a container of this Kite Hill almond Greek yogurt. So it's totally dairy-free, and this is a great alternative to sour cream if you can't have dairy. So I'll take that, and we wanna add some flavor to it. So I'm gonna add juice of half a lime and a little bit of salt. And that is it. That's all you'll need for your sour cream to go on top of this chili cornbread casserole. Now let's dig in and see how this looks. Oh my gosh, if you could smell this, it smells so good. Oh yes, get all the chili in there. Now let's top this casserole with a little bit of that sour cream, and then some cilantro and green onions too. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. You're going to love this, and I promise you, it is just as good as leftovers, so you can eat this in a Tupperware for lunch every day of the week. No matter what, you're never gonna get sick of it, I promise you that. But if you want this full recipe, just go to PaleOMG.com.